happens? My name is happening with Taylor, and today we're just going to be talking about depression. So I have not uploaded in a little bit. I made videos, but I haven't edited them or uploaded them. But I kind of just like get into where I'm at right now, what's in my head, what's happening, things like that. And so obviously, just talk about where I'm at with my depression. So I've dealt with depression before. I've been dealing with it for the past few weeks, but it's specifically been severe maybe my sophomore year, so like 2 years ago. And after that, I was pretty good for a while, and then I was dealing with anxiety for a little bit of time. So much that I needed medicine, and so that was happening since maybe the past summer, and then to now. But it's kind of taking the back seat just because I've been, the depression's kind of been at the forefront, and so I kind of want to talk about what I've been dealing with specifically. So I'm just gonna go through my symptoms, maybe what I feel like, what's happening with me on the day to day. And so for me, it's really hard for me to function day to day. I don't really have a lot of energy, a lot of motivation. I'm always tired. I get a lot of sleep though. I sleep a lot, and when I wake up I'm still tired, and I do a few little things, like I have little energy to do the same things I used to do. It's hard for me to go to class. I don't really have motivation to go to class. These are all the things that I want to do. It's just that for some reason I just don't really have the motivation or drive. I would say another thing I tend to deal with is just intense sadness out of nowhere. I just still really want to cry, but I can't. Usually I am a crier, but it just seems like I can't really release in that way. So I feel this intense sadness from out of nowhere, nothing's happening, and I just feel really sad. My emotions of hopelessness and the sadness are just really, really intense. It's really hard to focus in class. Everything just goes over my head. It's really hard to just be there and be present. And I just, like I said, I have no motivation to do small things like say go take a shower, and that's as basic, and that's something that I do obviously, but it's really hard to find the motivation to do those things. It's really kind of frustrating just because I'm not performing, or not even performing, not even doing the daily things that I'm usually proactive about. So it's just really hard day to day, and then at the end I feel kind of guilty that I'm not accomplishing all the things that I want to, or doing all the things that I usually do. So that's how it's kind of messed up my day-to-day functions, just things like that. And so that's just my experience specifically. And most people, some people talk to people, go get a counselor, because some people really need medication. And I am in the steps of talking to someone, but I'm not sure if medication is where I'm at right now. But just it's just hard. I don't really find pleasure in doing the things I used to do, things like that. So it's kind of multiple things that I'm kind of battling day to day, but that's kind of what I feel basically on a day to day. And so I want to go through all the stuff that helps me, or things that I found that help me get through my days or get through my weeks, moment to moment. And so the main thing I do is I try to start my day off with worship if I can. If I have the energy for it, I try to start my day off with worship, just because it shifts my perspective. I'm in a mood more where I'm thinking of God, what He's done for me. I'm more grateful. I'm feeling better, more uplifted during worship. The second thing I try to do is surround myself with community. When I'm by myself, I'm usually isolated, and that's when the thoughts can come and the feelings when you're by yourself. I'm not saying when you're around friends you're distracted, but you're not really sitting there with your feelings or your thoughts. So I would definitely say surrounding myself with community, people to be around me, is great. And speaking of community, you should pray for yourself as well as what I do. But I also ask my friends to pray for me, people at church to pray for me, just people to kind of support me in that. Because when you're alone, it's really easy for the enemy to attack you, just kind of make you think things and say the opposite of God's truth. So I find being around community and getting prayer and things like that is very helpful for me. I would also say reminding myself that it's temporary. I've spoken with the Lord, and this is not, I know it's not going to be a forever thing, it's a temporary thing. And I've also known when you start praying for people per se for any certain thing that they're going through, sometimes the enemy can attack you with it. And so I was previously praying for my friend who was dealing with something similar, and then a few days later I started feeling the same thing, and it's been going on for a few weeks. So it's definitely not a surprise, but it's still difficult. Even though I've been through this before and I'm equipped to handle it, it's still not easy. So definitely remind yourself that it is temporary. Another thing I would say is, realize that your suffering can help someone else benefit when people see how you live your life, or how you get through it with God. They are able to see that they can do it as well. Just because it isn't easy to go through suffering, but you always know that you're going to come out on top at the end, and so someone else can have hope, through it all, that seeing that you're doing it like you're basically going through it while you're suffering well. So that also helps me. Um, a big thing as well is choosing to believe the truth of God, because my feelings are kind of intense and not always great all the time. Sometimes my feelings and the truth of God, like, it doesn't match up, and so I have to constantly recite it over myself, remind myself when I'm feeling one way, and use His truth to combat it, if that makes sense. And that's been truly, truly helpful. Definitely, like, declaring things over my life. Um, so yeah, reading His Word consistently, and doing your quiet time, things like that. That is very good. Like, if you keep something in your mind, like, the way you think affects the way that you feel, which affects the way that you act. So definitely, I've been working on trying to change the way that I'm thinking about myself, or my life, or my situation. And not even that, like, a lot of people think, oh, depression is because your life's going bad, but things can be going well, and you still not, and it can hit you. So I feel like people have a misconception about that as well, because I truly believe I'm blessed and I'm very grateful. It's just that maybe how I'm feeling may not reflect, what is actually my reality, if that makes sense. And so, yeah, read words. And then another big thing is resting in God's presence. I find that because I don't have a lot of energy all the time, I need to gain up that strength. And by sleeping more, I'm obviously not getting more strength. So I need to rest in His presence and get strength from Him. Rely on Him to help me, to give me the comfort that I need, and that reassurance every day. Like, this is an everyday thing, because every day is not great. Some days are good, some days are better, some days are worse. It just depends. And so, I have to start my day off with Him, so that I'm stepping on the right foot before, I leave my room. And another big thing, this is the last thing, but another big thing is just giving yourself grace, because, God gives us grace to meet us where we're at, when we're not meeting, expectations, I guess, for ourselves or anything like that. I'm not always able to accomplish everything day to day that I would like to, that I usually do, but I have to give myself grace and say, you know what, I'm not where I used to be, I'm not where I usually am, so I have to give myself grace that I'm not going to be able to always do the things that I used to be able to do, because I may not have energy, I may not be able to focus on the things I need to do, things like that. So giving yourself grace is really, really important. And so yeah, I have some scriptures that I'm gonna put on the screen that really help me, that I usually look at consistently, and that help me in those things I say out loud, and I declare it over my life, and I pray about it over my life. So I'm just gonna put those on the screen. Okay, so these two scriptures touched on, like, suffering for Christ, and so I mentioned it earlier. You suffer for Christ, but watching someone else, watching you, how you live your life, and you're suffering well, that can really give them hope as well. So sometimes I have to realize, I'm not just suffering. I'm not suffering for myself. The Lord's gonna get me through it, and I can help somebody in the end. Through how I live my life. So I look at it that way as well, and also when it says, in His kindness, God called me to share in His eternal glory by means of Jesus Christ. So after I have suffered a little while, so makes me remember that it's temporary, it's not for forever. So these two scriptures that I just put on the screen, I would say a lot of times I can feel very exhausted, very weary. I don't have the energy really to do much, much less handle the things that I need to day to day, or think about those things. So when I try to do it in my own strength, it just, nothing really happens. Nothing gets done, and it's just not happening. But with God, when I ask Him for strength, when I rest in His presence to get strength from Him, then I'm able to do those things because I'm relying on Him to help me. I'm not doing it myself. So I definitely read these scriptures to help me just kind of, like, not rely on myself, because I really do get tired and weary and exhausted like very easily. So I'm not always able to do it in my own strength, you know? And these last two scriptures, they really help me, because I would say it makes me realize that he loves me, despite what I'm going through, despite what I'm feeling. He's there to help me, he's there to comfort me, and he's there to provide the strength and the hope that I need on the day to day, when I'm feeling down, when I'm feeling better, and when I'm feeling low. And so these two scriptures are really good for me. And when it says the Lord is there to rescue all who are discouraged and have given up hope, it reminds me that there is hope. There's hope in him, and that he's going to save me from this. And it's like I said, it's not going to be forever. He's going to pull me out of where I'm at, and I'm going to overcome this, and I'm going to be on top, even though it may not feel like that right now. That's why it's so important to read the word, because your feelings don't always match up with what is the truth in his word. So yes, I hope you guys liked this video. I hope it was helpful. I hope it helped you get a good idea maybe of someone who is going through depression if it's not you. And I hope that these scriptures were helpful, and I pray that you guys recite them and meditate on them and declare them over your lives, because it really does make a difference in the day-to-day. Because the first half of the day and you haven't read your word, and you've been feeling really down, and then you start reading his word and declaring it over yourself, it can make a world of a difference. So I hope this is helpful for everybody. And yes, I need to start uploading more, please pray for me. But yeah, I hope you guys like this video, and I'll see you guys next time.